All right, so today we're going to dive into something really powerful. It's a framework for navigating life, a universal path that suggests we can actually move from a life guided by fear to one guided by a deep, perfect trust. It's a huge idea, so let's really unpack what that means.
I want to start with this question right here because it gets right to the heart of everything. I mean, just think about it for a second. How much of our daily stress, our anxiety, our hesitation, it all comes from a place of fear, right? But what if we could flip that script? What if our default setting was a deep, unshakable trust in the goodness of life itself?
So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the problem of fear itself. Then, we'll explore a universal model for what trust can look like. We're going to break down the 4 key principles that make it all possible, get into some simple daily practices to make it real, and finally, check out the incredible benefits of living this way. Okay, first up, let's set the stage. We have to understand our starting point. And at its core, this whole journey is about a longing for peace that every single one of us feels, and finding a way to move beyond the grip of fear and anxiety.
Now, this idea is timeless, and you find it in so many different wisdom traditions. It suggests that fear isn't something you have to wrestle to the ground. Instead, you just replace it. You fill that space with something so much more powerful, a perfect, unconditional love. And that right there, that's the key.
So, perfect love sounds great, right? But what does that actually look like? How do we make it tangible? Well, to make an idea like this real, it helps to have a model, an archetype that shows us what a life of total surrender really looks like in practice. The source material we're looking at points to the archetype of Mary. Now, the key here, and this is super important, isn't about getting hung up on one single tradition. It's about what she represents. Whether you see her as a historical person, a symbol of the divine feminine, or just a beautiful story, she embodies what it looks like for a human heart to be perfectly aligned with a loving source. It's a picture of complete surrender and trust.
And we have to be really clear about what perfect trust means. This is not about being a doormat or just passively letting life happen to you. Not at all. It's an active, dynamic, even joyful cooperation. It's about choosing to align your own will with the flow of a loving universe.
All right, so that's the big picture. But how do we actually build this kind of trust? What's the foundation it rests on? Let's get into the why behind this whole way of life. Principle number 1 is all about making a conscious choice. At every single crossroad, the big ones and the small ones, we can just pause and ask this one simple question. Instead of letting that anxious, fearful voice take the wheel, we ask, what would total trust and goodness do right now? Just asking that question can completely reframe everything.
The second principle flips our whole idea of purpose on its head. It's about humble openness. It reframes serving others not as some lowly chore, but as the absolute highest honor. It suggests that real, lasting fulfillment doesn't come from what we can get, but from what we can give, from using our unique gifts for the greater good.
Third, we have nurturing care. This is a call to basically throw the doors of our heart wide open. It's about cultivating what you might call a maternal heart, that instinct to see the inherent value and spark in everyone you meet, and to treat them as precious no matter what.
And this last principle is, honestly, just beautiful. It brings everything right down to earth. It says that spirituality isn't just for mountaintops or meditation retreats. Holiness is right here in our ordinary lives. The way you wash the dishes, the way you answer an email, the way you listen to a friend. Any task becomes sacred when you do it with love.
Okay, so we've got the why down, we understand the principles. Now for the really good part, the how-to. How do we actually weave these ideas into the fabric of our busy, everyday lives?
And here's a fantastic toolkit to help you do just that. Think of these as 5 core practices, kind of like muscles you can build over time. There's trust for our decisions, service for our actions, presence for our awareness, compassion for our relationships, and joy for our overall outlook. It's a really comprehensive guide for living this out.
And you know the best part? You don't have to overhaul your whole life to do this. You just anchor these practices into the rhythm you already have. When you wake up, set an intention for the day. Before you eat, take a second for gratitude. When challenges pop up, try to respond with peace. And at the end of the day, just let it all go and rest in trust. It's that simple.
So let's say we do this. We try these principles. We use these practices. What happens? What's the payoff? That's what we're looking at next. The real, tangible results. The fruits of living a life filled with trust.
And what's so cool is that the impact isn't just in one area of your life. It ripples out. On a personal level, it leads to things like inner peace and authentic joy.
Relationally, it builds compassion and a quiet, gentle strength. But what's amazing is that it can even have a global impact, creating ripples of peace, building bridges between people. It really shows how one person's inner shift can truly affect the world.
And what I love about this wisdom is that it meets you exactly where you are. If you're feeling anxious, the message is, love is a safe anchor. If you're struggling, it reframes those dark times as moments of deep transformation. If you're wounded, it shows how your pain can actually become a source of blessing. And if you're a seeker, it points you right back to finding the extraordinary in your ordinary life.
Okay, so as we start to wrap up, I want to leave you with a few questions to really sit with. Just take a moment with this one. What part of your life, your career, your relationships, your health, is being run by fear? Now imagine, what would change if you swapped that fear for complete and total trust?
And building on that, it's not just about what you'd stop doing out of fear, but what you would start doing out of love. Where are those little daily invitations to be of service, to show kindness, to act with courage? Where is life inviting you to say yes?
And here's the last one, and it really brings everything right back to where you are right now. How can you find the sacred in your current, ordinary circumstances? In your commute to work, in doing the laundry, in a conversation with a family member? The path isn't out there somewhere, it's right here.
You know, this one sentence really says it all, doesn't it? It holds this entire way of life. It's a universal invitation to every single person who longs for peace. The real question isn't whether it's possible, it's just what's one small step you can take today to begin? Trust completely, love unconditionally, serve joyfully, and rest peacefully.